Love and jealousy should never share the same space. One is meant to nurture. The other is designed to destroy. And when they collide, the outcome is never peaceful. It is never kind. It is never without consequence. Marcus Reed had no reason to suspect that August 18, 2023, would be any different from the countless other days he had spent unlocking the doors of multimillion-dollar estates, welcoming eager buyers into their next dream home. He had built a career on charm, trust, and a talent for making the impossible deal happen. He was well-liked, respected, and successful. But none of that mattered to the man who was watching him. To Marcus, it was just another house showing, one of many on his schedule. The address was sent. The appointment was confirmed. The potential buyer was waiting. Or so he believed. He parked his car in the driveway of a sprawling Beverly Hills mansion, a property that sat empty, waiting for its next owner. The kind of place that whispered promises of luxury and status. The kind of place where people imagined a future. Marcus had no idea that his future would end inside those walls. As he stepped inside, the silence wrapped around him, thick and suffocating. His footsteps echoed through the marble floors. The air was still. Something was off. But he was a professional. He shook it off and called out, expecting to be greeted by a potential client. Instead, the door closed behind him. The next time anyone would see Marcus Reed, he wouldn't be walking out of that house. He would be wrapped in plastic, abandoned miles away, his bright future extinguished by the hands of a man consumed by rage. What happened in those final moments? What led a respected real estate agent to his death inside a house that should have represented new beginnings? And why did one man's jealousy turn into a crime so brutal that even seasoned detectives struggled to comprehend its cruelty? Tonight, we uncover the truth behind a love triangle that ended in cold-blooded murder. Beverly Hills. A city where wealth isn't just measured in bank accounts but in status, power, and perception. The homes are breathtaking. The cars are rare. The secrets are buried beneath luxury. But on August 18, 2023, inside a vacant $5 million estate, a secret so dark and violent was written in blood. At the center of this tragedy was Marcus Reed, a 39-year-old real estate powerhouse. He wasn't just a name in the industry, he was the name. Charismatic, ambitious, and armed with an undeniable gift for selling the dream of luxury living, Marcus was the kind of agent who could turn a hesitant buyer into a homeowner in minutes. He was sharp, well-dressed, and always 10 steps ahead. His clients adored him. His competitors envied him. His success was undeniable. But success often comes with attention, wanted and unwanted. And Marcus had caught the eye of someone who wasn't just watching. Someone who was waiting. That someone was Jamal Harrison, a 42-year-old tech entrepreneur who had built an empire from the ground up. He had money, influence, and power. He also had something far more dangerous, a possessiveness that bordered on obsession. A man who believed that what was his could never belong to anyone else. At Jamal's side was Sophia Price, his 35-year-old wife. Young. Charismatic. Magnetic. Sophia lived in the spotlight, her social media following stretching into the millions. To the world, he was the perfect image of modern luxury, flawless selfies, designer clothes, exotic vacations. But beneath the perfection was a marriage riddled with suspicion. Sophia was known to flirt. Rumors swirled that her loyalty wasn't as unwavering as her wedding vows. And Jamal? He noticed. He always noticed. And on the night of August 18, 2023, he decided that he had enough. Marcus Reed had been preparing for an important sale, a private, off-market listing for a client with deep pockets and high expectations. The kind of deal that could make or break a realtor's career. The address came through. The appointment was confirmed. Marcus glanced at his watch. Right on time. He left his office in downtown Los Angeles, his assistant calling after him. "You're still on for dinner at 8, right?" Marcus smiled, tossed her a wink. "You know I never miss a meal." But this time, he would. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Marcus pulled up to the property, a massive Mediterranean-style estate tucked away behind iron gates. It was supposed to be empty, staged for buyers, its grand entrance waiting to impress. Yet, the moment Marcus stepped inside, something felt off. The air was still. The house felt wrong. His phone vibrated. A text from his assistant. Confirming dinner at 8. He never answered. Hours passed. Marcus never called. His phone went straight to voicemail. At first, his assistant thought nothing of it. He was a busy man. Deals took time. By 8:30, concern set in. By 10 o'clock, panic. Marcus never missed a dinner meeting. Never left a client waiting. Never disappeared without a trace. And yet that night he did. The Beverly Hills skyline faded into darkness. The city carried on as if nothing had happened. But inside that empty mansion, Marcus Reed was gone. And the only person who knew the truth was a man who had spent the last few months consumed by one question. Was his husband cheating on him? And if the answer was yes, someone would have to pay. Marcus Reed was missing. Hours turned into an entire night. Calls went unanswered. Messages were left unread. And as dawn broke over Beverly Hills, a sense of dread settled over those who knew him best. Something wasn't right. His assistant, his colleagues, his closest friends, all of them knew Marcus was meticulous, responsible, and above all, punctual. He wouldn't just vanish. So when the police were called, they wasted no time tracking Marcus's last known location. Detectives traced his last recorded movement to the address of a vacant, multi-million-dollar estate still on the market. When they arrived, the house stood eerily still, its towering columns and pristine facade betraying no sign of the darkness hidden within. Then they saw it. Marcus's car, parked neatly in the driveway. The doors were locked. The engine was cold. There was no sign of struggle, no shattered glass, no blood, no misplaced belongings. Just a car sitting there, waiting, as if its owner had merely stepped inside for a moment, and never returned. When officers knocked on the heavy wooden door, there was no response. The house was silent. Then they checked the security footage. It showed Marcus arriving at exactly 6:42 p.m., stepping out of his car, adjusting his blazer, and walking confidently toward the entrance. He rang the doorbell. He waited. The door opened. He stepped inside. And then, nothing. No footage of him leaving. No signs of movement beyond that moment. It was as if Marcus Reed had walked into a place meant to sell dreams, only to find himself trapped in a nightmare. As the investigation deepened, detectives uncovered whispers, rumors that Marcus and Sophia Price were more than just acquaintances. Sophia, the charming social media influencer, was known for his flirtations, her lavish lifestyle, her effortless ability to draw people in. But one man's flirtation is another man's betrayal. And Jamal Harrison was not a man who tolerated betrayal. The first red flag came in the form of deleted text messages, conversations between Marcus and Sophia that weren't just friendly. "When are we meeting again? I can't keep sneaking around like this. He's getting suspicious." Then came the phone records, late-night calls, hours of conversation, locations that placed Marcus and Sophia in the same places at the same times. Jamal had money. He had power. He had resources. And he had been quietly tracking his wife's every move. GPS data from Jamal's phone showed him parked just a few blocks from Marcus's office in the weeks leading up to his disappearance. A private investigator had been hired. Bank statements revealed payments to a surveillance firm. Jamal knew. And when Jamal knew something, really knew something, he didn't let it go. Detectives brought in Sophia Price for questioning first. Her hands trembled as she lit a cigarette outside the station, her voice too smooth, too rehearsed when they asked the one question that mattered. "What happened to Marcus Reed?" Sophia exhaled slowly. "I have no idea. I haven't seen him in weeks." Lies. Because inside her phone was a message timestamped the night before Marcus's disappearance. "Tomorrow. 6:30 p.m. You sure it's safe?" Sophia had read the message. She had replied, She had known Marcus was going to that house. Then detectives questioned Jamal. His response was cold, clipped, calculated. I never even met the guy. More lies. A witness, a former employee of Jamal's tech firm, came forward anonymously. Their voice shook as they recounted what they overheard. Jamal knew. And he was furious, foreshadowing the deadly confrontation. Then came the neighbors. A woman living 2 houses down remembered hearing something unusual around 7 p.m. Raised voices, a man shouting, the unmistakable sound of a heated argument. Then silence. Nothing. No footsteps. No slamming doors. No cars leaving. Just silence. The kind of silence that lingers long after the damage is done. The luxurious home where Marcus Reed had been lured was no longer just a crime scene. It was now a tomb of hidden violence, its pristine walls concealing the desperate struggle that had taken place within. Investigators were certain Marcus never left that house alive. But where was his body? The breakthrough discovery. It started with a scent, faint, metallic, unmistakable. Forensic teams combed through the property, searching for any sign of what had happened. At first, the house was immaculate, too immaculate. No overturned furniture. No shattered glass. No immediate signs of a struggle. Then, inside the garage, they found it. A pool of blood, smeared across the concrete floor. Someone had tried to clean it up, but under the harsh glare of forensic lights, the truth was undeniable. Marcus had bled here. A lot. Luminol tests revealed a desperate, failed attempt to erase the evidence. The blood spatter pattern told a violent story, one of force, of impact, of someone being struck over and over again. And then, the security footage revealed the most damning clue of all. Marcus had entered the house at 6:42 p.m. At 7:01 p.m., another figure appeared at the door, Jamal Harrison. Calm. Composed. Purposeful. He stepped inside. The door closed behind him. And that was the last time anyone saw Marcus Reed alive. Jamal had been lying. He had been in that house. He was the last person to see Marcus. And now, detectives weren't searching for a missing person. They were searching for a body. The shocking twist. 2 days later, an early morning jogger running through the outskirts of Los Angeles stopped abruptly. Something was wrong. A plastic sheet, dirty, torn, bulging in unnatural ways, lay discarded near a dried-out riverbed. Then, the smell hit. The jogger reached for their phone with shaking hands. I think I found a body. Marcus Reed had been wrapped in plastic like a piece of discarded trash, and dumped miles away from where he was killed. His hands were bound. His face bruised beyond recognition. His body told a grim tale of what had happened behind those mansion doors. Blunt force trauma to the head. A fractured skull. Bruising along his neck where he had been strangled. Beaten. Choked. Then, when life had finally left his body, discarded like he never mattered. The autopsy confirmed it. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was rage. When the news broke, Marcus's family shattered. His mother collapsed at the press conference, sobbing into her hands. His sister, eyes red with exhaustion, choked through her words. He was just doing his job. He didn't deserve this. His colleagues, those who had worked alongside him, sold houses with him, watched him build a career from the ground up, stood in stunned silence. Marcus Reed should still be here. What started as a simple house showing ended in bloodshed. And the man responsible was still walking free. Justice moved slowly. But in the case of Marcus Reed, it moved with the precision of a puzzle finally coming together. Jamal Harrison had been careful. He thought he had covered his tracks. But no amount of money, influence, or silence could erase the truth. The forensic evidence was damning. Marcus's blood in the garage of the luxury home. Jamal's fingerprints on the plastic used to wrap his body. Surveillance footage placing him inside the house at the exact moment Marcus vanished. Then, there was the final blow, his own digital footprint. A deep dive into Jamal's search history painted a chilling picture of a man preparing for murder, How to dispose of a body without leaving evidence. How long does it take for a body to decompose? How to erase phone records permanently. Each search, a step closer to an inevitable confession. But Jamal refused to speak. Even as detectives laid the evidence before him, even as his lawyer advised cooperation, he remained stone-faced. His silence, however, was no match for Sophia Price. The betrayal, Sophia's confession. Under the weight of interrogation, Sophia cracked. Her hands trembled as she signed the affidavit. Her voice wavered as she admitted what investigators had already suspected. Jamal knew about me and Marcus. He knew everything. She told me if I didn't end it, he would. I never thought he'd actually do it. But the text told a different story. On the day of the murder, Sophia had messaged Marcus. Jamal's out of town. You should be fine. Jamal was never out of town. The home showing had been a trap. A setup orchestrated by a man whose jealousy had festered into something deadly. The trial of Jamal Harrison drew national attention. Prosecutors painted him as a controlling husband, a man consumed by rage, who meticulously planned Marcus Reed's murder. The defense argued temporary insanity, claiming Jamal had snapped in a moment of betrayal. But the evidence was undeniable. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours. When they returned, the verdict was clear. Guilty. Jamal Harrison was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Even with Jamal behind bars, questions remained. Did Sophia know Marcus was walking into a trap? Was this a crime of passion? Or was it premeditated murder from the very beginning? And if Sophia feared for his life, why hadn't he warned Marcus sooner? Some believed Sophia had played a bigger role than she admitted. Others thought she was just another victim of Jamal's control. Either way, she was placed in witness protection, vanishing from public life, forever haunted by the consequences of her affair. Emotional closure, justice, but at a cost. At the sentencing hearing, Marcus's mother stood before the court, her voice shaking with grief and resolve. You took my son away from me. You took him away from his family, his friends, his future. We'll never get him back, but at least justice was served. Jamal never looked at her. He never apologized. He never spoke another word. And as the courtroom doors closed, the story of Marcus Reed came to an end, not with justice restoring what was lost, but with a reminder that love and jealousy should never share the same space. Because when they do, love becomes obsession. And obsession turns deadly. The courtroom doors have closed. The gavel has fallen. Jamal Harrison will spend the rest of his life behind bars. But the echoes of this case will never fade. Marcus Reed, a man full of ambition, was brutally taken from this world, not by a random act of violence, but by the calculated rage of a man who let jealousy consume him. Jamal's story ends in a prison cell. Sophia's story disappears into witness protection. And Marcus's story ends in tragedy. Or does it? Because the questions that remain may never be answered. Your thoughts matter. Was this more than what it seemed? Now we turn to you. Was Sophia Price truly a victim of Jamal's possessive control? Or was she a willing participant in luring Marcus into a deadly trap? Should jealousy ever be considered a defense for murder? Can a crime of passion excuse taking a life? Could Marcus have sensed the danger before it was too late? Were there warning signs that, in hindsight, seem impossible to ignore? This case may have reached its legal conclusion. But the court of public opinion is still in session. And that's where your voice comes in. Join the conversation. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. Do you believe justice was served? What would you have done in Marcus's position? Could this tragedy have been prevented? Let's keep the discussion going. Stay with us for more cases like this. If you found this case gripping, disturbing, and eye-opening, you're in the right place. Where every crime has a final truth. Subscribe now and turn on notifications, because we uncover the cases no one else dares to tell. And remember, love and jealousy should never share the same space. Because when they do, love becomes obsession. And obsession turns deadly.